welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another player performance review for the 2019-20 season. And today we're going to be reviewing a player who only really played the first half of the season before moving away on loan, and that is Cenk Tosun. Of course, Cenk Tosun signed for Everton in a January transfer window in his own right back in 2018, and he ended up being moved out to Crystal Palace on loan just 2 years on from that. And I think that kind of maybe sets the tone for this review, doesn't it, Tay? Is that it's not been a great success, has it, Cenk Tosun?
Not really. I mean, this season, he started the season. I'm just trying to not conflate it with. Did he start? Was he starting at the beginning of the season? Was he in the team?
No, he wasn't. I mean, he did make a few appearances at times, but I think you get mixed up with the previous season where he started with it was like a nailed-on first teamer, and then he sort of dropped out. But no, he was never like a consistent starter at all, even at the start of the season.
No, oh yeah, you are right. He started season before. Yeah, he's the problem with Tosun is I don't think he's a bad player personally at all. I think he's a very good player, but he doesn't suit the way we want to play. He certainly didn't suit the way Marco Silva was set up because he wasn't fast enough. He could to play up front in Marco Silva's team at the beginning of the season. You had to have pace. You had to chase down lost causes, which Dominic Calvert-Lewin obviously was doing, but he wasn't scoring at the same time. Tosun, I think, has got the ice in his veins. I think he's the best finisher at the club, as far as the strikers go.
I'm convinced about that myself.
But he just didn't suit the way we were playing, and when he did play, I can remember him playing against Norwich in the famous Norwich at home game, and
yeah, you definitely remember him playing that one.
He was absolutely dreadful. I mean, who knows now? I mean, when he comes back to fitness, if the transfer window is still open, it could be that he's moved on. He's obviously got admirers at other clubs like Crystal Palace might take him back again.
He's also got a bad injury though. Let's not forget. I think he's done was it Achilles or something? He suffered a bad injury while at Palace, didn't he?
Yeah, he'll be out for a while, but the transfer window does run on till mid-October for domestic deals, so you never know.
It's a good point, actually. I mean, he got injured in January, and I've almost, for the first time in months, I forgot there was a lockdown, which is interesting.
But I don't think. I mean, if he was to come back and the window was shut, I know people don't give this player a go or give this player another chance. I wouldn't be, of all the players like Balassi and Bezic and whoever.
Tosun's probably the one who maybe might have an outside chance, I think, because I don't think we've seen him have we seen him play in a 4-4-2 before?
No, that's my point. I think he'd have the most, opportunity, the most chance to make an impression if he came back to fitness and the transfer window wasn't open, because I think he'd be effective in a 4-4-2. Now his limitations would still be there. He'd still lack pace, and he's very hit and miss with his form. He had that run of games when he came into the team under Allardyce, and he was the only player who could score a goal. He was the only player with any goals in him. But I think it was Owen who said in previous episodes that 4-4-2 can make average strikers look great. So you just don't know what it'd make of Cenk Tosun. I feel bad for Tosun because he's been brought in under a previous regime.
He was brought in a very, very volatile era by probably the epitome of the volatility in Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, he was brought in to solve we had no presence up front at that time, and he did solve that. He started scoring goals. He'd been scoring goals in the Champions League for Besiktas, and he did solve the problem short term. But then as long term kicks in, rather, he's limited, and he doesn't suit, the rest of the team. I don't know. It's a tough one, really, because I can't see him coming back in and being established and being one of the one of the strikers. I think he's our most sellable asset of all the players we want to get rid of. He's the one who'll probably have the best takers and the best, offers coming in for him, because
I think he can do a job in the Premier League, if you ask me, for a lower team.
Absolutely, he'd do a job for us, but just not where we want to go. If we were going to bounce between 12th and 8th forever, which, to be honest, seems like we might do.
Don't even go there. very much the possibility, but
he'd be fine. But we want to aspire to better than that. And if we're going to play 4-4-2, which seems like we are under Carlo, we need pace up front because we're going to play a lot of counter-attack and football, and he hasn't got it.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing. We'll go on to his performances in this season in particular. I mean, you touched on the Norwich game, obviously, but there was a few others where he played and he didn't necessarily play well, let's be honest. There was
No, he got an I remember he got a goal against Tottenham in the game that Andre Gomez
that was his only goal of the season for us, certainly in the league anyway.
Yeah, he came in did he come off the bench in that game?
He did, yeah, and he scored the last minute equaliser, that's right.
Yeah, and he was quite good when, Gomez was on the floor, he was the one who was with him. So I think his character in terms of around this Everton team is
one of the better ones.
Yeah, by the looks of it, yeah. But obviously the big elephant in the room is his injury. Whether he comes back the same from. We've seen other players have bad injuries and not come back as good, like Balassi.
Andre Gomez even.
Yeah, Jordy's still very much out, on whether Gomez can come back to his best because, he's not played lots of games since the injury.
No, he hasn't had a pre-season since the injury either, so that could be a big game changer. We never know.
Yeah, I mean, Tosun. And then he went where? He went to Palace, didn't he, in January?
On loan, yeah, he did. Scored a goal, I think. He scored against City, I think. He still got beat, but...
Yeah, people were saying for a little bit, Tosun's gone to Palace and he's given Liverpool the league by scoring against City. It's like,
that's right, yeah.
I mean, in previous seasons, if he'd have done that, he'd have been a pariah at Goodison. What are you doing? But no, not this time. I think the league was already wrapped up at that point.
The league was wrapped up before he even moved on loan, if you'd ask me. And the other moments I can recall of Tosun this season, unfortunately, was him missing a penalty, a pretty tame penalty in the shootout against Leicester.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, pretty bad. I think that's more Everton than Tosun because only Everton could score a last minute, thunder strike to take the game to penalties at home and then still lose the penalties with the momentum.
That is Everton, though, isn't it? It's terrible.
Every other club.
It's terrible, but it's Everton.
Terrible, but it's Everton. Every other club would have went on and just won that shootout just
on the crest of a wave, but not Everton.
No, not Everton. But Tosun's one of them. He is part of the needs to be sold list, which is unfortunate for him. He's not done much wrong at the club. He's not an awful player like some of the ones we're trying to get rid of, but he's been caught out by the changeover of managers, the rotation of managers.
As of a lot of those players, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Some of them haven't, were brought in and just weren't good enough. Some of them were good and then have gone, lost their legs, Sigurdsson. And then some of them are good players but just have been a victim of the change arounds, and he's one of them, I think, Tosun.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it just goes that way. And I mean, when you're as sort of badly run as Everton have been in the last couple of years, you're always going to get these kind of decent players who don't fulfil the potential. And I think I'd like to think we've learned that now, and hopefully we're moving out of that pretty grim era. But as far as Tosun goes, I think he'd be a good professional for another club.
Well, Crystal Palace do like him. They liked him when we got him. They've been after him for a while. So
right, yeah.
I think they will, and I hope they come back in for him because I think he'd improve them. I think he'd play well there. I think he's got it in to be a good Premier League striker. I just don't think it's a right fit for him here anymore.
It's a shame. I mean, the Turkish following was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just didn't realise how popular he was until he signs, and then new Turkish Evertonians in the comments of every video.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, that was probably the best part of the whole Allardyce era, and I mean, it's not saying much, but let's be honest, we took anything we could get at that time, and to be honest, let's take anything we can get at the moment. But in that respect, what could we get for him if we do end up moving him on money-wise? We're talking 10, 15 million?
Well, I think the price was 20. That was what was widely
That
reported.
was
It was
before the lockdown, of course, and before the injury.
Pre-COVID, pre-injury, pre-everything. So I could imagine it would have decreased a lot since then. So I reckon we're probably looking at about knocking at least a quarter of that off if it is true. Just guessing, really. I'm saying that as if I've got a clue. I haven't, but I don't know. I think taking a decent amount, he'll fetch the most money. I think of all the players we're looking to move on, either him or John Joe Kenny. I think we'd be able to demand the most money for because they've got the most upside. Whereas players like Sandro,
Sandro,
he
could come back. He could be like a new signing next season. Sandro
could be the answer on the right wing, maybe.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll leave it at that anyway. There wasn't really a lot to talk about from Cenk Tosun this season in an Everton shirt. I mean, there wasn't much to. He didn't really get many minutes, to be honest. So perhaps we're being a bit harsh, like by criticising his lack of goals. He only scored one, of course, this season. But anyway, we'll do our score out of 10. Terry, what are you going to give Cenk Tosun out of 10 for his half of Everton season?
3 out of 10. He scored an equaliser in a dramatic game, but it wasn't the story of the game. And he was awful against Norwich, so probably not very good in other games as well that I probably forgot already. So I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I was going to give him a 4, which is, again, I thought he played relatively well in that Spurs game, and then the Norwich game, thankfully, I only watched a bit of the highlights of that, so I didn't get to maybe suffer that as much as you do. That's probably why you've given him such a low mark. And also, there's the penalty miss as well against Leicester. I'm gonna stick to the guns. I'm gonna give him a 4. So yeah, not the best season as you'd imagine from a player who got shipped out on loan halfway through. But there you have it, guys. Let us know your opinions on Cenk Tosun's first half of the season at Everton and whatever amount of games he played for Palace as well. Even drop us a comment below. Let us know whatever you're thinking. Give this video a like and subscribe to the Toffee Blues for more content, including more player reviews. And until next time, thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues.